Hi, Angela. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Dr. Judy. Hi, Dr. Bert.
Hello, and thanks for joining us.
We are so grateful that you have agreed to talk with us today. You have been at this for a while.
Quite a while, 12 years this month.
Yes. So how are things on your end in your part of the world?
In my part of the world, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, we're doing well. The snow is starting to melt and we are starting to see some spring.
Nice.
Yay. Hooray for that.
Yes.
So we appreciate you joining us to talk about your history with intermittent fasting and appetite correction and weight loss. Can you tell us when you first noticed that your weight was becoming an issue in your life?
I don't know when it was first became an issue, because I was in denial about the obesity and the amount of weight that I was carrying around. It was probably the wake-up call when I was rushed by ambulance to the hospital because of what I thought was a heart attack, really was a gallbladder attack. And that's when I realized if I did not do something, I was going to have even more health issues and problems for my life.
Now, we've talked before, the three of us, and if I'm remembering right, you had tried, before you started living the Fast-5 lifestyle, you had tried a number of diets in the past. Is that right?
Correct. I had tried every single diet that would come out. So give that a go and see how well I did. And then I failed. And then I'd wait a bit and then start doing another diet that would come out. So I had tried numerous diets. It was a yo-yo diet. I was a yo-yo dieter, say.
When did you first start dieting?
Oh, I remember very young. I remember like at age 11, my dad was going to be he was doing one of his diets. And I thought, well, I'm going to try too, because even at 11 years of age, I may not have been overly overweight, but I still was for my age and for my body stature. So even at 11, I was thinking about what kind of diet I could get on.
You know, for a lot of people, particularly people who have had experience with a lot of different diets, it can be very intimidating to imagine taking on the next one. And it can be hard to believe that anything, even something like the Fast-5 variety of intermittent fasting, the appetite correction lifestyle that you took on, it can be very intimidating to even imagine that it might work. And so what we would be interested in knowing is what prompted you to take the plunge, to even begin to try to trust another step in your life.
This time, 12 years ago, that I had already had lost about 30 pounds of weight, just not eating certain foods in my life, just so that would not bring on a gallbladder attack. So then after my operation, I started noticing that I was going back to the old patterns of binging. And I knew that if I started doing this again, I would be in the same mess once again. So it was during Lent, and I just really felt I needed to fast for 40 days, 2 meals a day, have a snack, have my feasting, my main feast. And I did that for 40 days and I didn't stop.
So it was a spiritual choice for you, is
that? That one was a spiritual for me, to help me, because I knew that if I didn't get my mind, body, and spirit together, there was no hope for me. That's what I felt like. It was like, if I do not do something for my life right now, I would have either a stroke, I'd have a heart attack, I would end up having diabetes, I would end up having all these other medical health issues because of this obesity that I was carrying on. So after those 40 days, I just continued and I felt amazing. And a few months later, I find out about intermittent fasting and Fast-5. And there's the story that, to be honest with you, when I first started, I was doing really well. Once I connected with Fast-5, what helped me was that 5-hour window of eating. My boundary is what I called it. Because that's where, with old habits, old patterns, I could still, find myself either having longer windows, an 8-hour window, which is fine, but it did not work for me. It did not help me with my food addiction that I had. So once I found Fast-5, that's where I lost the majority of my weight, was with Fast-5, the 130 pounds. So in the beginning, on my own, I was losing and releasing. And then when I found Fast-5, that's where I was having to go and get new clothing, because I was having to change my wardrobe at least every 3 to 4 months, because that's how the weight was coming off. The clothes were getting baggier and not fitting properly anymore. So I didn't need the scale to know that I was losing weight.
So what sort of timeline did you see for this weight loss?
130 pounds from 2008 to 2012.
Okay.
That's in that 4 years.
And so when you're in your fasting part of your schedule, the fasting window, do you have to fight hunger?
When I'm fasting?
Yes.
Now, no. In the beginning, not really. But in my mind, I thought it was, in the beginning, I'd be like, oh my goodness, I think I'm starving. But I really wasn't. Mentally, I was believing, oh, geez, I need to eat something. I was like, no, you don't need to eat anything. To have a drink of water first. Maybe I'm dehydrated. I'm not really hungry.
Well, what has been different for you in living this Fast-5 lifestyle versus when you were doing dieting? How has that been different for you?
When I was dieting, I had the failure mentality.
What does that mean?
I was always failing. No matter what I tried, I was always failing. And I was going to be destined to be extremely overweight, no matter what I tried. So I had that. With intermittent fasting and appetite correction, it is a sustainable pathway of success. And it's kind and gentle and filled with grace. That's why the lifestyle.
We've heard you say in the past, trust the process. And I'm kind of thinking that contrast between what you described as a failure mentality and the relationship with the lifestyle of trust the process. I mean, that's a very different relationship.
Yes, I finally found a lifestyle, a way of eating that I could trust, that I would not eat myself to death, because that's what I felt like I was doing before, that I was going, because I couldn't stop eating.
You mentioned the feeling of hunger when you started out, that you felt hunger, but you said it wasn't real hunger.
Correct.
I remember when I started experimenting with this back in the 1995 or so, that I would feel what we call a hunger pain. And it would feel, unlike when I was not fasting, I would feel it like it was just a separate sensation. It didn't kind of get up in my head and say, oh man, you've got to eat something. It was just down here in my belly, and it was more like having a sore elbow or a sore ankle. It was just out there, and I knew what was going on. and I didn't mind it so much. When you started this, how long? Well, I'm asking because I think one of the things that stops a lot of people from starting is that they're afraid of hunger. They're
Right.
afraid they'll be hungry. So how long after you started did you really feel like hunger was just not a deal anymore?
No, because it's been so long, I can't really remember. But I know within the first 6 months, I just remember definitely the first 6 months. I just remember standing in the kitchen and realizing, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about food. I didn't even think about food. I started crying because I was like, I can't believe I didn't think once about food all this time. It was so exciting.
That was such a contrast for you.
Yes, because from the time I woke up in the morning until, sometimes depending what state I was in with the addiction to food, where, thinking about food when I wake up in the morning and ending passing out because I've eaten so much in the evening. So yeah, I was in awe. That's all I could say. I was just in awe. I did not ever imagine I could get to that place where, oh my goodness, or I forgot to eat. I went past my window to open up.
And that was 6 months after a lifetime, or not quite a lifetime, but something less than a lifetime of effort in that direction. And so on one hand, it may seem like a long time to get there, but
Right.
then by 6 months, you've turned things around completely. That's wonderful.
6 months is nothing compared to the years of that dieting mentality that I didn't ever have to experience anymore again.
It's a different confidence. It's a totally different relationship with the potential and, like you said, the trust. You experienced a weight loss plateau at some point, and my memory is that it was an extended one. And when we're talking about trusting the process, I think you took that to a whole new level. Can you tell us about that?
I remember you had shared at Dr. Bert's Fast-5 group a couple days ago, somebody was talking about plateau, and where typically many will have up to a 6-month plateau. Mine was a 1-year plateau. And during that time of the 1-year plateau, there was a few times, not very many, but there were a couple times, I know for sure, 2 times I remember distinctively in my mind, it was like, you need to try something else. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not.
Like a little temptation on your shoulder.
2 times I was like, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. And the plateau broke. So, and here I am. So,
When it broke, do you feel like something broke it, or it's just a matter of time and your body finally said, okay, we're good. Let's let go some more?
No, the plateau broke is because I finally took the advice and started taking the cream and the milk out of my coffee.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I did not have a clean fast from 2008 to 2015. 16 finally is when I started drinking my coffee black and my tea. It was a very difficult transition for me. I was very stubborn. I did not believe in myself that I would even enjoy having my coffee black or my tea. Now I cannot even imagine having any cream or any milk in any of my tea or coffee now. But it took me a while. But I'm glad I didn't give up.
We're glad too.
So have you reached your goal body?
I did. I always say to people, for like a minute, for a day, a week maybe. Right now, I have about 15 to 20 more pounds to release to achieve the goal body. But I'll get there.
And one of the things that we talk about with goal body is that it's not about a number, it's about a way of being and a way of feeling. And so tell us about your goal body. I mean, is it a dancing body, or what kind of what is your goal body?
So my goal body looks like this. So there is daily enrichment.
Ah.
Every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, a half hour, there is enrichment that brings joy, sparks joy in my life. I play the piano on a daily basis,
Wow.
try to consistently. I use yoga and work out with some weights and also a plank, because for my goal body, I will be 56 in April. And as we age, we need to be as strong, balanced, and flexible as we possibly can. So that's part of the goal body. With intermittent fasting and appetite correction is setting myself up with these challenges on, working on a daily basis. That's the goal body. Daily water intake, journaling for myself, my affirmations. Right now I've started another challenge that will look like for goal body is go for a walk. That's been added on because that is something really good to do. So yeah, that's a lot of goal body.
Yeah. So your goal body is one that has this very holistic, well-rounded rhythm. It sounds like rhythm with your, like you said earlier, mind, body, spirit.
Yes.
Nice.
And how would you say that the change has affected the relationships with friends and family?
Well, how it affected living an intermittent fasting lifestyle, especially, now it's become quite mainstream. Mm-hmm. More people now are realizing the value and the benefits of living an intermittent fasting lifestyle. I know for myself, as I continue taking care of myself and being empowered as I'm taking care of myself, being my own hero. Mm-hmm. It's also, my family and my friends, they're witnessing and watching. And I'm hoping it's also inspiring. I know that it is inspiring quite a few of my friends because, today we are going to be having intermittent support group for women in my local area.
Very nice.
So they're being inspired to live a whole and healthy life with intermittent fasting and appetite correction. So it's exciting.
When did you, in your journey, when did you feel that you achieved appetite correction?
Or like within the 6 months, for sure. I achieved it. And it also, I like to share with the women I work with and anybody that's willing to listen as I share my story is for myself, because it's my study of one. There's layers of appetite correction that has happened in my life with food. I always look at appetite correction as not just with food. My appetites have been corrected. And I've had a lot of appetites. Some very good, some not so good. So, yes. So there's layers. I'm still, right now, there are certain appetites in my life that are being corrected still. It's an ongoing thing. It's so exciting. It doesn't just stop.
And there are many people describe, we label them non-scale victories, but the extension of the changes that happen in one's body with intermittent fasting and appetite correction go far beyond just food. Absolutely. Others have described that very typically, very frequently, and most often it is the case. What about your relationship with yourself? How has that changed?
Well, we've been continuously talking, the women and I, that we've been meeting together. We've left decades. We're in a new decade now. Old patterns, old tools, old patterns of thinking are gone, have been transformed into the new decade where I'm at a place where I can honestly say I love myself.
Oh, wow. And
that's amazing. Yes, there is still that mental chatter of, those old patterns trying to get in. I'm like, yeah, that's back in the decades. I'm not doing that anymore. So
good for you. Wow.
Good place.
Good for you. We're very happy for you. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
It's been very transformative.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful.
You mentioned affirmations, and partly because of our relationship over the years, that was included as one of the tools in the book AC, The Power of Appetite Correction. And are there any other tools that you find familiar, friends, or in your toolkit that you typically use?
I know one is your healthy tribe. You have created this wonderful healthy tribe that.
Well, and it says, finding your healthy tribe, one of the tools that is in the AC book. I know the daily accountability that I shared at Dr. Bert's Fast-5, that has been, someone had shared with the support group, how do you find that had asked, how do you find that beneficial? And I had shared that I find it very beneficial having that healthy tribe and being accountable, not only putting it out there at the Facebook group. It helps me not be in denial, because sometimes if we're just, on our own, we can be in denial about ourselves and letting the window be a little bit longer. It's not really that big deal. We can make up excuses for ourselves. When we have to take ownership and I'm typing it out, or I know the night before and I'm choosing maybe to have my window a little bit longer, I'm like, oh, well, you're going to have to be upfront and say, I chose to have my window. Am I willing to be honest and authentic? Yes. So finding that healthy tribe has helped me. I shared where reading other people's accountability, I have gained such wisdom gleaned from them. There are some challenges that I picked up for myself was because of what these other members have shared, what they're doing, and I incorporated it into my own life. So that healthy tribe, you need to be around like-minded men and women, especially in this culture, which is telling us the complete opposite of how we are living our lives now with intermittent fasting and appetite correction. So it's very important. I even actually wrote the quotation from the book, Dr. Bert, if you don't mind me sharing, about the wild Mustang.
Oh, that's one of our favorites.
What my favorite is, because it's a visual for me, I'm a very visual person, where it said, unfortunately, our culture has shoved your wild Mustang body into a carousel horse existence with cotton candy diet. I am a wild Mustang. I do not belong on that carousel.
That's great.
Because I have lived, that cotton candy diet that this culture really does. There's so much processed food. And yes, so that has helped immensely. The stressors. I always tell those that are starting off, because I do have a lot of before pictures. I don't have my measurements. I did not start taking them until a while later. But I always share with people when they're starting out, take a before picture and take your measurements when you start out. If you don't mind, I'm just going to move 1 second. I hope it's not too blurry. Here are a lot of before pictures that keeps me focused to see, look where you were and look how far you've come. But I tell everyone, do the before picture and take your measurements. And then decide, the ACEs, appetite correction, eating schedule. Pick your schedule that fits your schedule. What will work best for you and your life and your family's life also. If their children are still home. That when I first started, my children were still home. So it was very important for me to have my eating window. I had it from 2 to 7 because I wanted to sit down with my children and my husband and have my feast with them. So now it's changed my eating window as our lives change as we continue on. So, but I always say, these are some of the steps, some of the tools to use to set you up for success.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I mean, we promised to not take your whole day, so we're going to honor and respect that, of course. But thank you for spending time with us. We very much appreciate it. And it's always delightful to talk with you, Angela.
I do enjoy our time with you, both of you.
And thank you for letting us share your story to encourage others to take this on. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate both of you, and I thank you once again for getting the Fast-5 out there and continuing to provide amazing tools, the podcast, the website, and now the YouTube channel too. So I'm excited. So keep on keeping on, and thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.